Okay, welcome back again. So, as I said, we're talking about Thomasson and Company, December 2018 paper. So, it's very important as we've gone through the question parts and also the question review. I'm going to talk about examiner comments because it's very key as part of our studies to familiarize with what the examiners have indicated in their marking of students, especially in this particular paper for December 2018 for Thomasson Company. So in this question, some of the key things that the examiner comments noted down was that in part A, the one that we're talking about discussing policies and procedures, well, they said most candidates scored full marks, and which is a good thing. And like I said, it's a straightforward question. But here they say that some candidates who did not score well, they simply just listed points with no discussion, or they confused the audit firm with the client. So it means that like they were talking about controls of sales on the client side, which was not actually the case, because an anti-money laundering program has to be set by that audit firm. Okay, so the other question part that we're talking about was, evaluate whether there were any key indicators of money laundering activities. So here, this question was actually, the examiner says that the requirement, that the majority of the answers to that requirement were disappointing, okay? So they went further and talked about, like, the candidates, they were able to correctly identify the indicators suggesting money laundering activities, but they didn't make any attempt at explaining or evaluating those indicators, like the one that I talked about, explaining your why. So they didn't explain their why properly. So in this situation, it shows like just you simply stating cash based or there's an offshore bank account, it doesn't indicate or demonstrate any understanding of why it's an indicator. So that point where I talked about explaining your why is very important. So here they talked about like you should be able to link that what you know to the actual case study by actually saying, maybe you could talk to, like then say like the company sales are 75% cash based, so it's a potential indicator of money laundering because cash based sales are harder to trace. So you can see like you've already explained like, okay, it's cash based, so what? So you say that it's cash based, 75% cash based, so it means that it's a possible indicator of money laundering where there will be high potential for it because cash based sales are harder to trace. So you've already explained it to that point. Like you've already explained not only your why, but your so what. Like it's a high indicator for money laundering because cash based sales are harder to trace. So that clearly talks about question part two, part A2. So in question B, the examiner also indicates that it was poorly answered, and it says that it might be due to candidates not having enough time because, of course, you've gotten from section A and 50-mark questions, so maybe you're left with 10 minutes time to answer. So it meant that most of them, it was poorly performed, whereby candidates are not leaving enough time to fully address the requirement. And some of them were not clearly showing an understanding of ethical issues and how to describe them so that they can get marks. Because the examiner notes down that there was lack of detailed knowledge of the ethical guidance, and there was common mistakes that were made by candidates in terms of assumptions, making their own assumptions, like even invoicing the company, invoicing the company for the tax breakdown and therefore the directors, of which that was supposed to be a whole another different part of consideration of like you consider it as a director's remuneration. So, and even at the part for the gift second that I told you about, the $30 free voucher. So the examiner notes down that the in that case for the trivial hospitality benefits, some of them say just decline, whereby in the case it was the case for the auditor, whereby the the examiner was expecting that candidates were able to like clearly say that if it's trivial, then it should be fine, right? But people were just going there and say it's a gift, so it should be declined without clearly stating that unless it's trivial, then it's then the self-interest threat, it may be too significant to mitigate the safeguards. So this is put on examiner comments. So like we've noted down that candidates were failing at these two key points, at these two parts, because they were not explaining the why or showing clear understanding of the subject matter that has been tested. Because examiners themselves say that candidates like to answer questions, they answer questions which they would like to be asked rather than answering questions that they are being asked. So it's clearly that we need to approach these questions very critically, so that we can be able to pass with these marks, because it's all about you learning how to apply your knowledge into the case study in particular and how to structure your answers. So I hope this helps, and see you in the next session. Thank you.